All right.
So this meeting is being videotaped, recorded.
All righty. So that makes 4. That makes a quorum, right, Greg? Mike?
Yes, you have a quorum.
And so I'll call this meeting to order. And the first order of business is to review any outstanding minutes. Mike, you got any? And have they been distributed?
Mike, hey Mike, your microphone's muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I sent them around.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
I forget which meeting it
Do I
was.
hear a motion?
Was it back in February?
Yeah, it was at a regular meeting. Remember when we had a breakout? I didn't remember the date. You sent those out a long time ago. Maybe the best thing to do is to table them to our next meeting, and so we can redistribute them and everybody can get their memories jogged, and we'll approve them the next meeting without objection.
Okay, well, I know, well, Greg sent something out more recently. I mean, I have no problem with tabling, but
I'm not on the committee, so I'm not voting.
Yeah, I
I
know.
thought I had read them and didn't have a problem with them, but I can't find them now.
let me see if I can.
I know they were distributed, but it's been some time. I didn't have a problem with them when I read them. It's the one that appointed me chair, if anybody's curious.
Okay, let's see.
I'm going to table those to our next meeting so we can get those more.
It was the February
in
5th
line.
meeting.
Okay, yep.
You can always come back to it later in the meeting, but
Let's do that. I don't want to keep our guests waiting. So who wants to start? Mark, you want to start off with the presentation of the do nothing scenario?
Yeah, so nice to see everybody. How do you want me to proceed? Do you want me to through the slides? Do you have, I've received some questions, and I've also received some data in response to those questions. We don't have all the data yet, but let me
I suggest
first,
that we quickly.
go ahead.
I suggest we quickly go through the slides. So
Okay.
if some of the members have questions on a particular slide, they can ask them. Any
And
objection to that, guys?
No, that's fine.
And I'll stop at the appropriate slide where I have an update for you. We have Steve Hemmon
Okay.
until 4 p.m. Is that right, Steve?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. I can stay after. I don't have a meeting till 5.
Oh,
hey Mark, are we working off version 11?
we are working off version 11. Do you want to transfer sharing to me?
We can, yeah. Yep.
For those in full view, David Young has joined us.
Hi, David.
You should be all set, Mark.
Okay. There we go. So this is version 11. It has not changed since the last time. Basic introduction as to what the goals of our project are. The baseline presentation has several components. Enrollment and staffing data, which Melissa King has pulled off of the DESE website. Financial data, most of this is off the DESE website for the various pieces of that. The baseline really begins with their fiscal 21 budget and also includes a lot of the Chapter 70 information. And then the do nothing scenario begins with the fiscal 21 and projects out for 5 years. We've worked with Rob O'Donnell and Rob Hanna to provide the Student Opportunities Act and Chapter 70 projections going forward. And this is essentially the same format we used in our first study. So we have updated a lot of the data, but obviously fiscal 21 is new. The fiscal 20 budgets are new. The 21 budgets are new. The last presentation we did was based on fiscal 19. So we, at that time, were in fiscal 18 with the fiscal 19 budgets having been approved by the respective school committees. So again, enrollment and staffing, financial data, baseline, and do nothing scenario. The preliminary analysis was done 18 months ago. At that time, both districts felt that sustainability was an issue, and at least from Gil Montague's point of view, wanted to move forward. Pleased to say that Pioneer Valley approved their item, which was for the superintendent to explore shared services with the Gil Montague district. So that language is not specific to this do nothing or this baseline or the combined regionalization of the two districts. The language was far different, but still 6-5 vote, and we're moving forward with that. So the way this is organized, I'm going to first talk enrollment and staffing data. First, Gil Montague, followed by Pioneer Valley. Then, as part of the projections, we've used the same NESDEC study that we used the last time. Joanne felt that we can continue to use that. So first, Gil Montague. Foundation enrollment declining.
Mark, are you putting that up on the screen? I don't see anything.
Can anybody see this?
No,
Oh,
No, I've got it on my own PC though.
I do too.
All right, but Greg shared.
I've got it in front of me.
My
Let's see.
apologies. I messed up the sharing. Hold on. Is that better?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
All right, let me go to the slide. Can you all see that?
Yep, that looks good.
Okay.
I
All
can't,
right,
I can't see any of my members, so if you've got questions, just pipe in.
I can see most of them, not all.
All right, then you take control of the meeting until I can see everybody again, and if somebody has a question, you can recognize them.
All right, Greg, I can't see you.
That's okay.
Lance,
I'll turn my camera on if I have. I'm just trying to save bandwidth for you guys.
I can see Mike, I can see Jane, I can see Lance, I can see Steve.
You see Lynn?
I cannot see Lynn. There you are. And Greg, you're there. I don't see you on the screen. Okay.
Yep, I'm here.
So enrollment. Gil Montague's has declined 8% over the last 6 years. Fiscal 19, we have fiscal 20 data. We have the fiscal 21 data as well. We'll get to that when we do the baseline. This breaks it down by grade, by school for Gil Montague. Now remember, the foundation enrollment are resident students who live in either Gill or Montague that go to a public school, regardless which public school they go to. So if they choice out, if they charter out, they're part of this count. If they choice in, they are not part of this count. They are part of somebody else's foundation enrollment.
So Mark, a quick question.
Yeah.
To be clear, then, this is not the count of people in the classroom on October 1st.
No, because that's head count. Hold on, I'm trying to admit Alan.
Oh, this is perfect.
There we go.
Oh, did you get him in? Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, that's great.
There we go. So again, this is not head count, because head count would include choice in, but would exclude choice out and charter out.
Right, so this is foundation.
That is correct.
So then the footnote is incorrect.
Correct. At
Um,
least it looks like it.
I need to clarify a little something here. Don't mind me chiming in, but foundation enrollment, when they do the foundation budget, that includes kids that are actually residents. It includes choice out, and it includes charter out. That's the foundation count. That's what foundation enrollment is.
But this,
Again, this is, now the other question, it's always been a question, and I keep asking that, when they do when the October 1 is, they're accounting for the kids there, and they're also, when they get to an October 1 count, the kids in the room, which is also choice in. Usually that gets reported in, because that's how then they charge out to the different school districts. So we have to be careful to make sure we know which enrollment we're talking about.
Right, that's the question that we're asking right now, because the footnote indicates that this is the October 1st count,
Right,
meaning kids in the classroom, not foundation budget
correct.
or foundation enrollment.
if you will, we've got 931 foundation enrollment for fiscal 19. If you add these up, I believe you'll get 931. So what this should say is October foundation enrollment includes students, eliminate all, at Gil Montague, regardless of residency. Wait a minute.
Well, but foundation budget is entirely determined by residency.
Well, no, yeah, foundation enrollment is who the district is paying for. You're paying for kids that are in the district, you're paying for kids that are choice out, and you're paying for kids that are charter out. That's what
Right.
foundation is.
Right, I understand what foundation is pretty clearly. And I also understand how it's different from the October 1st count.
Right.
And that actually brings up one of my questions, which is, could
Okay.
we see the actual numbers if we start with foundation budget and then show choice out, choice in, where they are choicing in from, charter out, choice out and where they're choicing out to, and charter out and where they're chartering out to, then I think we'd get a clearer picture of what's happening with enrollment. And with
Mark's gonna
Gilmontague,
Yeah,
I suggest that we also include Irving, because they're a major component of the October 1st enrollment. But to just know that enrollment is declining, foundation enrollment is an important number, but it's not the only number. And understanding, the way I see it, one of our questions as a committee is to decide if regionalization will help make a better school system. And that, to me, suggests that we need to understand what we think would be improved, what problems regionalization would solve, one of which I assume is declining enrollment. So I think we should understand why enrollment is declining a little better than just knowing, well, it is. Because that doesn't tell me that making another district would change that. Whereas
Mark,
if we said,
Yeah,
Full
Mark,
thoughts.
so I'll
Mark, you want
stop.
to bring up that chart that we showed that I got off of DESE, which we're just talking about?
Yeah, so I'm reading this way. Here's foundation enrollment. Here's the breakdown of foundation enrollment, because these numbers foot to the 931. But the October enrollment, which would be head count, this would be an accurate statement. Point one. So Mike, when we received your request for choice and charter, we received this from Rob O'Donnell. I won't go over this in detail. We don't have all the information, but we've got the Gil Montague school choice enrollment trends for the past 10 years. The blue is the receiving coming in. The red is the choice out. This is Gil Montague. This is Gil Montague's change in school choice pupils and tuition by sending district. So Gil Montague is sending, and these are the receiving for choice.
No, it's the other way around, Mark. Those are sending districts into Gil Montague.
Oh, I'm sorry. So these are the kids that are part of the head count, but not part of foundation enrollment. Correct, Steve?
Yeah, that's how many. Deerfield, in this case, Deerfield is sending 2, and you take Greenfield sending 63.
So one of the questions that Steve and I have is, how do you want us to feed you the supplemental information that you're requesting? Do you want us to just send it out raw like this? Or do you want us to put this into the PowerPoint in some organized way and then send out an updated version? Hold that answer until we show you other data that you have requested.
This is, I got this stuff, Rob took it on the website.
I can't,
Okay.
you gotta move everybody's picture.
If you go to view, it might
Here
help.
you go. Rotate it again.
Yep.
One more
One more time.
Bingo.
Okay.
So this is more financial, although it has the FTEs of the charter school kids.
This is what was on the website that Gil Montague sends out 66.1 to charter schools.
Okay. Yeah, I think Gil Montague knows where they're going. And I'm sure Desi knows where they're going.
Okay, so the same chart for Pioneer. Let me rotate this for you.
So Mark, you do have the information though for, or should we rely on the district to get sending out students? Specifically where they're going.
Yeah, the only thing we're entitled to is the number. We are not entitled to any names.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
We don't need names.
No.
Yeah.
wouldn't know what to do with them.
They can go into the portal. They can go into the portal and get that and tell us where they're going.
So this paints a different picture than you saw with Gil Montague, where the receiving for Pioneer is clearly on a decline, but less of a incline is the sending for charter school, for choice. So this is readily available to send you. Same chart as we saw with Gil Montague. These are the sending districts to Pioneer Valley, not fiscal 21, fiscal 19 actual, and the preliminary from 20.
That's what's up. That's all the on the website. That's the latest they have on the website.
Yeah, we don't have a similar chart for charter school. Am I right with that, Steve?
I think this one. Yeah, keep going down.
Hey, Mark, if it's not too much trouble to put that in with the
you go.
slides, that would be helpful.
I'm talking, Steve, in terms of where they are going in charter.
I think they're only going to the one right in the what's the Pioneer one, whatever it is. But we can get that information.
All right, this one's not going to rotate.
Put your over more by the.
Say again?
Now try to rotate it. Hit your down arrow. There you go.
There you go.
There we go.
23.4 kids, Pioneer sending out. So I can send you this very easily as is. Or Greg, I can send it to you and you can send it out.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it would be nice to have it in with the slides, just as so that we're not, having different information. If we're gathering it all into one sort of aggregate, that would be nice. But I don't know if that's.
Well, that's what we're going to discuss, right? Or
Yeah.
are we talking about, are we discussing?
I think it is a discussion. I'm saying I personally would like to see that, even though I'm not on the committee. So, but it'd be nice to have that information gathered within.
All right, Steve, do we have this only in PDF or do we have?
I had to pull it off of the website. I can try to download some stuff off the website. I mean, if I can download it into a file, I'll try. Okay.
I mean, even if it is on a PDF, you could put the PDF within as a slide, separate slide.
Yeah, I'm just worried about file size.
Yeah.
Because we already got about 40 or 50 slides and they're loaded with financial information. So Steve, you could send me the link and then I could go in and try to get this into Excel.
You can drop the whole file down and then you can pull that stuff out.
I mean, I can convert this to Excel and we could see how that works.
It's in Excel. I can do that, Mark. I'll send it. I'll get you to where it is. It took me a bit to find it. Rob had to help me to find it.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there a possibility of getting prior years also?
Yeah, they have prior years up there. Yes.
The enrollment goes back to 2014. That way we could see trends.
Yeah.
I mean, my own feeling is that the PowerPoint is nice for sessions like this to give like an overview. But if I don't find them personally all that helpful for trying to pack in massive amounts of data, especially if we want to do any kind of analysis on it. And I wouldn't mind getting, a few spreadsheets along with the PowerPoint with the underlying data. I think that would be more helpful. So it's, I'm just one guy. I don't know
Yeah.
how the rest of the committee feels,
I
As,
agree.
go ahead.
but I don't see a need to have it in the PowerPoint. Especially when you start talking about prior years, it seems to be easier to put it all in an Excel spreadsheet and just say, you know, here it is, you know, it's available and we can look at it.
So as we go through, you're going to see a lot of Excel that was pasted into the PowerPoint. So we do have the Excel spreadsheets that we can share with you.
Good.
Jane, did you have something to say?
I just said that I agree with Mike, that I would like the spreadsheets.
Yes, thank you.
I like to play with the numbers and I can't do that in a PowerPoint.
Me too.
Okay.
Can I
That's
just
what we're
add-
for. That's
Mark,
why we're on this committee.
Mike, if I could just go back for a second and saying, I'm going to call Gil Montague and ask them to find on School Choice Out where are those kids actually going, okay? 'Cause
That'd
we
be
had
great.
And also Charter. I'll call Pioneer the same thing. They can go into it, into their portal, print out, give me the numbers, and I'll see how many years they can get. I'll try, okay? And
That
I'll
sounds
send-
great.
Then
That
I'll
sounds
get Mark, I'll give you the location in DESE where the data is for school choice, and Charter as well.
Okay.
I can see most of you guys now. I figured it out. So if you got something to say, if Mark doesn't see you, I'll see you.
Okay. So this is Gil Montague. And the purpose of this slide is to focus on their student demographics. And you'll notice that their percentages, 47% to the statewide average, sorry, to the Pioneer Valley average is higher. You're going to see a different picture when we get to Pioneer, but for now, one of the reasons why Gil Montague benefits from the Student Opportunities Act is the demographics of its students.
When you say Pioneer Valley, are you talking Springfield all the way to the Vermont border?
So what is Pioneer Valley boundaries? Not Pioneer Valley Regional School District, but Pioneer Valley.
It was a marketing thing, and I thought it went from Springfield, Massachusetts, all the way to the Vermont border. Well, I may be wrong. Do you know, Jane?
Well, I know that when you come into Northfield from New Hampshire, it says, "Welcome to the Pioneer Valley" on a highway sign.
I believe Hampton County and the county south of us are included in the marketing
Right.
terms of the Pioneer Valley.
That's always been
So
my
it's
understanding.
Massachusetts, not River Valley. So
It's-
my question is, do these have Springfield school districts, Chicopee, and those in it?
Yeah, it's according to online, it's the counties of Hamden, Hampshire, and Franklin.
Okay,
But it also says regional districts. So it wouldn't include the city of Springfield because that's not a region.
Well, where did this slide come from?
Desi's website.
Maybe Desi knows what they mean by this.
good question.
I assume they could tell us how they got these numbers. I'm just thinking we could speculate about what it might mean, but
Yeah,
we
you
could
follow up
ask them.
with Melissa on that.
Well, who's going to take the action item to find out?
I'll take the action item to clarify two things. Well, to confirm the three counties that form Pioneer Valley and to confirm it's strictly academic regional districts.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still on Gil Montague. District maintaining a relatively high staff level relative to its student enrollment. So this breaks
If
down,
anybody's got questions on it, if anybody's got a question on any of these slides as he's passing through them, including Alan and Greg, pipe in. Okay, Mark.
and this is from EPIMS, breaking out the job classifications, district, central office, and then each of the school sites. The district is slowly losing its enrollment while continuing to support 5 schools. A higher portion of students with disabilities, economically disadvantaged, and English language learning students compared to the rest of the Pioneer Valley. All right, same set of slides for Pioneer. A decline of 30%, sorry. Gil Montague's was 8%.
Wow.
Same footnote on the bottom.
Yep, that needs to be clarified, right? Mike?
Yeah, I have the same questions about this.
So it's my understanding that they're going to close Warwick.
Mhm.
And when they do, this slide will most likely change.
Yes, we're in receipt of a letter from Desi approving that. I think I sent it to all the board members and Alan and Greg. You should have all received it in your email today.
So Lance, can you send that to me as well, and Steve?
Yeah, if I got your email address or, yeah. Yes, sir.
It's ultimately my understanding that Tanya is revising the fiscal 20 budget to reduce the 20 budget by $250,000, which I believe includes the closing of the Warwick School. What I don't know is if that's the total just for the Warwick School, that's all they're changing, or if there are other costs that they're reducing besides the Warwick Community School.
Let's
You
think
mean
about
the 21 budget, Mark?
FY20 right now.
21.
Warwick is still running. So this has nothing to do with FY20, but the savings have to do with lower expenditures in the current year. And we've devised a way to shill that money into funds so it can be available next year and applied to expenditure in next year's budget, therefore reducing the assessments to the towns. But there's no savings from closing Warwick in FY20. There's probably no savings from closing Warwick, but we'll.
So the way they would do that is to reduce expenditures, it would fall to E&D.
No, we're not doing that. We're like we're leaving money in transportation revolving and some other out of general fund, non-general fund accounts that can then be expended from next year instead of general fund accounts. It's going an end around the E&D by going into certain funds that don't count for E&D.
So it's going into special revenue funds.
Correct.
Keep it out of the general fund.
Correct. That's the proposal.
And I assume the overseers approve that?
We usually don't get anything this complex. It's more common to be told the states approved this need to vote for it. So
Okay.
I think yes. It's,
All right, so this slide will not change for our purposes.
Well, this is 2019, so obviously it's not going to change for 2019, nor for 2020. Only till you get to 2021 are you going to be seeing any changes that are brought about, like closing Warwick.
So let me ask you, earlier I showed you the slide, the PDF, the visual of the charts, the graphs. Would that help if we inserted those graphs right after these slides?
As long as we know that the graphs actually represent the same things that the slides represent.
Well, since it's from DESI, I would assume they would be the same.
I wouldn't.
Well, that'll be a good cross-check.
I would add that the graphs are fine, but every time we have a graph, that we get somewhere a spreadsheet that shows the data the graph was based on.
That graph, that graph came from right off the DESE website.
Well, again, they must have produced it somehow. They've got to have the numbers.
Well, yeah, well, the numbers are behind it when they create it, yes, but it's not, I don't think it was, I have to take a look again, see on the website exactly if the numbers are there that we can make sure we have.
Well, I mean, somebody can talk to somebody at DESI too, right?
Oh, we talked to him.
Yeah,
That's
we
where I
talked
found,
to him
that's where when I talked to Rob O'Donnell, that's where he sent me to get the information I was looking for, that we gave you. We could give you the thing, they got a spreadsheet with the whole state.
Fine with me.
Okay, same staffing issues, relatively high staff relative to student enrollment. Same MPIMS, EPIMS chart.
Back up that last slide, please. Administrative clerks, is that high or average for the for schools of our size across the state? Do you know?
This,
They're saying administrative clerks, 8. High, low, or average?
Which slide are we working on?
17.
The one
Am I
right in
correct?
front of me, 17. Yep. If you don't know, that's fine.
What he's asking is
Just curious.
this 8
How does
administrators?
that compare to other schools?
Probably pretty close to what the average is. You need to have a superintendent. You got to have payroll. You got to have accounting clerk, secretary. So I don't think it's too far off on the size of the district.
Okay, fair enough.
We'd have to check with some
Thank you.
others, but I mean, at least from what I see, there's a basic that you have to have in order to run a regional school district.
Understood.
Mark, I didn't catch what the, can you hear me, Mark?
Yes.
I didn't catch how many paraprofessionals the Gil Montague district has. They have a lot of disadvantage and their numbers are a lot higher. Pioneer has 40. What does Gil Montague have for paraprofessionals?
49.
So they only have 9 more and their numbers are significantly high, 47% of disadvantage. Interesting.
Worth looking into, I think.
Yeah.
I can think of reasons why that would occur. If you've got
Well-
one student that's needs special stuff, he gets a special person. Or where in Gil Montague could be 10 with the same, that need the same stuff, so.
As you're commenting, part of it on this paraprofessional is really the makeup of your special ed student population. And David, you were just talking about it, depending on the needs of the children. Sometimes you have one-on-one, sometimes you can have a para could handle 2 or 3 in a classroom. So it depends on what the makeup of the demographics of special ed students are in any particular district.
It also has a lot to do with how the special education administrator handles the team leaders handling the special ed population when they're writing IEPs to maximize the use of paraprofessionals. So there can be a philosophical difference. There shouldn't be, but there can be, and sometimes it's quite substantial from district to district on how they meet the needs of kids. So that's for another day's conversation.
But I would think, Steve, when you look at combining the 2 districts,
Mm-hmm.
the paraprofessionals as well as teachers would be a focus of your discussions.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult on some of that with the paraprofessionals and how many you're going to need totally. I mean, without getting too much into individual students, which we have to be careful how much on that information we get, but we can estimate.
Well, without
But
names,
Alan, wouldn't that,
obviously, IEPs, what services the kids are getting on those various IEPs before you aggregate into one district will probably be telling.
excuse me, is that the purview of the education subcommittee or is that finance and transportation?
That would be the education.
Yes.
Be education, but it's going to drive numbers. Just a comment, observation.
But their recommendations will drive our numbers, right?
Correct.
That raises another question. A lot of the discussion about joining these 2 districts centers around middle school and high school. And there's a lot of inference that nobody wants to touch elementary combinations. So how's that attitude going to fit into this picture?
Mhm.
So when the RFP came out, there was nothing in the RFP relating to the elementary schools. It was combining the high school, combining the middle school. We added a work step that in addition to looking at the high school and speaking with the principals and high school administrators and the middle school principals and administrators, we would get the principals together and administrators from the elementaries to discuss additional educational needs. Steve, you want to comment further?
Yeah, we have done a site visit at Gil Montague last week. We met with the principal and also the facilities director. We had a tour of the building. We have one at Pioneer coming up next Wednesday with the principal, facilities director. Then we've also have talked to the elementary principals in Gil Montague, and we're going to now have, because we just got permission, we're going to be talking to the elementary principals, the 2 in Pioneer. And it's basically saying, here's what we're looking at. What do you think, and anything particular that you think needs to happen on an elementary level to have them prepared to go up to the middle school?
Yeah, Jane, it seems to be the consensus that we're losing enrollment primarily at the high school level, which drove the conversations around middle school and high school, consolidation.
Well,
That's Gil Montague, but that's not Pioneer. We just closed 2 elementary schools.
Right. No, I know. I mean, all elementary schools have been facing declining enrollments. I just don't think at not as quickly over the last 10 years.
I must differ with Lance. The fact is that Pioneer is second to Gil Montague in attrition at the 8th grade. At Gil Montague, 50% of kids don't go on to 9th grade in Gil Montague, and Pioneer's second or third highest in the state. It is the problem. Pioneer, I think, graduating class this year is 20-something kids. Hard to ignore. I don't know how, but that's the fact.
Let me ask the committee now, is that a matter for Mark and Steve to be discussing with us right now, or should they go on with their presentation and we'll discuss it after we're done?
Well, don't lose sight of it.
We won't. I said we can talk about it when they're not being tied up. And then talk to them later about it.
Well, some of our
But
comments, I
Do
think.
we need to talk about it now or can we defer it?
I'll go into the DESC website and look at their counts and look at the stuff for 8th to 9th grade for both of them, as well as if I have to go to the individual schools. So let's see if we get some good data on that.
I have a question. If I go on the DESI site, am I going to be able to see how many students from PVRS go to Franklin Tech instead of staying at PVRS? Am I going to find that number easily?
No, not easily, because they don't appear, they only appear because once they go to Franklin Tech, they're under Franklin Tech. And you'd have to get from Franklin Tech how many kids come from each of the towns.
I think that's an important number when we're looking at decrease in population. Because to me, that's not
Steve,
a
if she
decrease
goes on
in population.
Steve, if she goes on the Franklin Tech, goes on to Disney and looks at Franklin Tech and they have population coming in, it should say which towns
I think so.
the number of kids are coming in from.
I
Just like
don't
we
know.
had-
I'll have to check that out. So that's
All
so.
right.
Of course, Pioneer District's got a unique situation with Mount Herman. I know when I was in Pioneer, we lost a big chunk of our class to Northfield Mount Herman because of tuition and subsidies and stuff like that.
I think those days are gone, though. The subsidies don't really exist anymore, other than general financial aid.
Okay.
Yep.
That incentive's gone, huh?
Yeah, they did away with that a long time ago because people were specifically moving to the area to get tuition breaks.
Well, then it became if you were employed, you got a tuition break. So,
That still is true.
Yeah.
That's true at most prep schools. Yep.
Where'd Mark go?
I'm here.
Let's continue. Let's move on.
All right. So one of your questions was, can we give you more information on NESDEC? And the slides that follow is the executive summary of the NESDEC study, the details of which you can get out of here now.
On that last graph there, can we change the scale on that so that the numbers can be more discerned? Going from 0 to 1200 on that one slide.
You're talking this?
Yeah. We don't need 0 to 600 on that. We can compress that, can't we?
You mean this?
Yeah. Your data range is only about what, 200?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's the portion of the graph we're interested in. So started at 900 and expanded so you can figure whether that second point is 1060 or 1080.
Mhm.
Hey, this came off of a PDF, am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this did not come off of
So
Excel.
the answer is no.
So let me
So the
let me
answer is
just
no.
briefly,
All right.
this is the detailed NESDEC report. Now this is for 3. This was last time. It was Gil Montague, Franklin County Tech, and Pioneer Valley.
Okay.
We can
That's
send
good.
you this as well, but we don't have this in Excel.
What do you think, members? You want it?
Yes.
All right, we
Okay,
will
send
see
it to
you.
us, please.
So the important thing here is from Gil Montague's point of view, there has been a decline, but it's leveling off. Still a decline, but not as rapid as the historical period. And for Pioneer, it continues.
Wow.
And we should keep in mind, this is prior to COVID-19.
That is correct. Everything is prior to COVID-19 so far.
Do we know how they arrived at those conclusions?
They use a cohort survival method that they use. And if you can go back up, Mark, to the chart.
You
Where
want
are
me to
we?
go to the study itself?
Yeah, go to the study itself. It's on one of these sheets I saw, unless you
I
pulled them
know,
out.
but I deleted, I didn't delete it.
Okay, all
I
right.
closed it out.
Basically what they do is they say if you have say you have 100 kids in first grade, you take a look at how many go to second grade. And if they went from 100, they went to 102, they would say survival is 102%. If they went to like 90, then they'd say survival is only 90%. And that's how they project out. All of that's done in what they call cohort survival method. And they project it out. They take a look at births rates and see what that looks like. And that's how they project it out.
Is this what you wanted, Steve?
Yeah, that's it. It just shows you. So if you take a look, that's how they do the projections out. And it's called, as I said, a cohort survival method. And you can see they talk about here, and the percent changes right here. You can see what they're talking about. No, percent change.
Steve, do they look at the stability? Do they look at the stability of businesses and things when they're looking at the bursts and so forth to see what the employment picture looks like for the community, and if that looks as though it's going to get better or perhaps worse if they're seeing, you know, let's say a manufacturer that it's destined to go out of business over time, or a possible, you know, move in where they're looking at a business coming into town. Do they look at that?
I don't know the answer, but I suspect that's very difficult, that they're going to look at past history on the projections and then go roll it forward. Again, I'm not sure how much they would bring that in and how they would quantify that as well, Alan. That'd be kind of difficult to say exactly. Okay, if business going out, you could say, yeah, we think we're going to have a decline because people are going to be moving out or coming in, how much? So I can call and talk to them. I got to call them anyways on something else and ask them.
Well, I was just, you know, looking at the stability of businesses in towns. You know, did they look to see, you know, they employ, you know, X number of people? It's a pretty likelihood that they're going to expand or at least stay the same when they're looking at that, because obviously the bursts come with people moving into town because they can find a job or keep a job.
Alan?
I don't know. Maybe Greg, you've got a better sense of.
Well, I think it's a good question, especially in regard to Pioneer, and maybe Davey can chime in on this. But when, you know, for instance, when Yankee closed, how did that affect the Pioneer enrollment? It's a fairly big.
It went down. It went because they were not tuitioning those kids from Yankee power
Right.
plant up in there to Vermont back into Pioneer. I know they
I mean,
went down.
That's what I would have suspected, but I don't know by how much.
It was also the fact that many of those employees lived on this side of the state border.
That's right.
So that wasn't all tuition students that left.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
There were attempts by the state of Vermont to end that sort of practice that Vernon resisted, but the number of kids coming from Vernon now that the plant is closed is very, very few.
Right.
It's
So-
in Pioneer's revenue budget, but it's
I don't know their exact methodology, but this footnote might be telling. Changes in and out migration of families, real estate sales,
Yeah.
residential construction, and births.
Yeah, then they do. They take that into consideration.
Yeah, no mention of commercial.
Yeah, right.
I think it'd be very hard.
I gotta call them. I'm gonna ask them some more questions about it. So let me find out.
All right, but this will give you a lot of statistics, historical, as well as projection.
Steve, if you're going to talk to them, could you ask them if they have the spreadsheets they use to produce this report? And if so, if we could get a copy?
They might be their property. I don't know. I'll ask.
No, yeah, it never hurts to ask.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
All they can do is say no, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
two more questions.
who paid for the study?
Gil Montague paid for it last year out of a grant.
It's not proprietary. That's a public document.
There you go.
Well, it might be
Well-
proprietary in how they calculate and what they do, but I don't know, David, for sure. I'll ask.
Well, I would like to
The
offer at this
methodology-
I'd like to offer at this point that I judged these Pioneer predictions to probably understate the case. I know there are 17 children whose choice and from Warwick who say never Northfield, and there are others who have not made up their mind what they're going to do. And Pioneer's decline has been fed by this strife and whipsawing of families. So
Yeah.
the tech school has been the winner on this, but it shouldn't be too hard to predict this, but do take it into account.
I see this as being a bigger discussion for our community to have. Because I could think of some other factors that might affect population one way or the other, which we can talk about at some point.
I agree.
Yeah, it's 4:29 now, so if we want to get to the end of the thing, I think we should let Mark kind of go through. If you have any questions specific about a slide, please feel free to ask.
All right, so you get two more sections to go, the financial baseline and the do nothing.
Correct.
So one of the comments was, do we have fiscal 19 or 20? And the answer is not from the DESI website. So we pulled this off of DESI's website. And one comment was that these are hard to read. The last time we presented it, we had one slide with 3 or 4 sections of the next 3 slides. So we have already broken that out. I have this in Excel. I can send you the Excel. There is some data available for fiscal 19, but not all data. And so we cut it off at fiscal 18.
Please send us the Excel sheets.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Second question was, can we see the detail of this? So there aren't that many breakdowns on the DESI website of these details. There might be 1 or 2 more line items, Again, I can send you the spreadsheets where I aggregated some of this data.
Mike, you want them?
Yes, please. And I guess, I mean, it's, well, we can talk about how much more detail we want to get. I mean, again, Desi knows where these figures come from. I believe they have categories they like to put things into, and it shouldn't be too hard for somebody to find out what those categories are and what the numbers are that produce these totals.
Well, at the same time, we have prior year spreadsheets from Gil Montague and from Pioneer Valley that
I mean,
that
go ahead.
detail which special funds, which grants, which local appropriations in more detail, maybe 3, 4, or 5 line items that reflect their current budget. And so when we get to the fiscal 21 and 20, let's revisit how much detail you want, because we could probably ask Joanne and Tanya for prior years and give you that type of information in lieu of going into these slides and breaking them down.
Okay.
Another comment was, are these actual or budgeted because of the term estimated receipts? These are actual. This is a technical term, estimated receipts. You'll see that on a lot of state documents. And again, no fiscal 20, no fiscal 21 on the DESI website. So here, the cherry sheets go up to fiscal 19, but other data do not go on to fiscal 19. And one of the things we try to do was to minimize the impact of this study on Joanne and on Tanya by pulling information off the DESI website. So if you do want fiscal 19 and fiscal 20, we're going to have to ask them for that information.
What's the feeling of people? Do people want 20 and?
Shouldn't 19 be coming on the DESI website pretty soon?
You mean for these? I don't know the
Yes.
answer, Steve, do you?
Well, they normally they'd be working on that, but they got a lot of other things they're trying to do now. And again, all of this comes from the end of year reports that each district files. So they have all of the 350 end of year reports from every district, and they got to aggregate it into what they want to put it into and put it into the system. So,
Right, and they only do that after they get the audited report.
yeah.
So 2019
So
audit.
they're always a year, at least a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years behind. But this is such unusual. Every time I've called and talked to them, they're just buried with stuff.
Yeah.
Well, my feeling is that I'd like to get as much information as we can, especially since if we're expecting our committee to be going for another 2-3 years anyway, by that point, if we're just looking at 2018 data, that's going to be 5 years old.
Well, I think we have to have this set up so we can add 2019 when it becomes
Exactly.
available
Exactly.
and 2020. That's why I want spreadsheets, because then I can add that stuff when I see that it's available.
Bingo. I think that's exactly right, Jane. And so I think that part of what maybe this process can be with the consultants is figuring out how we as a committee can do that going forward when they're out of the picture.
Right.
Just
So-
a
Mike,
suggestion.
do you ever look at the auditor's report at the end of each year? School districts have to have that, and they give the financial review, and then they have recommendations of where the district's doing well and not doing well, and suggestions. Or do you ever see that information, or David, or Greg?
I have not seen it. I have not seen it.
All right, so,
Yeah,
so that's,
I've seen the Pioneer FY19 audit. I can email it to you.
all right, no, I'm talking about so there's usually
And the
two parts to
management
that.
And the management.
Yeah, the management letter, yeah, the management. I think, Mike, that would be something you'd want to look at for both, well, and the other financial gurus there. You might want to look at the last 2 years of the auditor's report that they've done for Gil Montague and they've done for Pioneer. I thought they had to make that available for town hall. I used to always have copies go to the town halls. Maybe that's, you know,
I have
I don't know.
I have.
They may do that, Alan. I just haven't seen them.
They do that, Ellen.
All right. Okay, so I'm just saying the financial gurus there, you might want to add that to your data to take a look at and see how that matches up with, you know, have they implemented some of those recommendations and have they improved the numbers?
We'll
That's all.
probably have to share, Gil Montague will have to share theirs with us, and we'll have to share our Pioneers with them, right?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
public documents.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, their town hall won't have them for if the school isn't relative to them.
I thought school districts had to send them to each board of selectmen in their respective towns. Maybe I just did it as a good practice.
You talking the
Pioneer
audit,
Valley,
Alan, you're talking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just-
Steve,
Pioneer Valley,
yeah, the auditor's report. Steve, you were a
Pioneer-
regional super.
They have to be sent to the selectmen of each town.
Yeah, we received.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we probably
my
would
only-
want to, the finance committee might want to take a look at the last couple of years of those.
What I'm
For
saying
Pioneer.
is the selectman's office in Biden does not have the access to Gil Montague's audit report. So the
Correct.
members on this committee from Gil Montague could get that information from Gil Montague, and we'll get the stuff from Pioneer.
I'll volunteer to look
okay.
into Gil Montague.
Yeah, sorry to bring that up. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry, you should continue on. You got a lot of slides.
All right, so just keep in mind, what's available in DESI is 1.5 to 2 years behind. And so the question I would have to you is, we can send you the spreadsheets. You want us to ask Pioneer, do you want us to ask,
858448335.
do you want us to ask Tanya and Joanne to fill in 19 and 20?
Yes.
I'd say yes. I mean, if it's a lot of work for them, I know they're busy doing other things. But again, I think
I don't think we need their numbers right now. What we need is a procedure. I'm sorry, I don't know where the feedback is coming from here. What we need is the procedure that we're going to follow as we go forward. I don't think we need to ask them.
You need the tool to keep this updated.
Correct.
You know, that's just my opinion. It can wait.
Jane, I agree with that. Although I think it might be worth asking Tanya and Joanne how difficult it would be for them to provide those figures, because our procedure going forward might be to work with them and have them just provide.
Mike, we can discuss that further. We're running out of time here. I think Steve's already left, hasn't he?
No, I'm here. I've got to leave by
He's got
a
another
5
meeting.
o'clock meeting.
Let's try to wrap this by 5, okay?
I have to go. Jake Barry's also on. We both have to go off at 5.
Okay.
All right, the next section is Chapter 70. And I've added Student Opportunities Act to this. Many of you have seen these slides before. This is Gil Montague's Chapter 70 trends and all the data that supports the chart. So this comes off the DESI website. And what's hidden up here is 1993 through 2007 on the Excel spreadsheet. You can open it up and you get the full 23 plus years of Chapter 70. There's a summary on the right. This is the key factor file, one for Gil Montague and later for Pioneer, again off the DESI website. You'll notice this is updated through 20. And you'll notice that Gil Montague in fiscal 20 came out of minimum aid and grew substantially due to the Student Opportunities Act. I mean, look at that difference. That is huge. Pioneer, same chart, same statistical data, same hidden numbers to get it clearer on the slide, same key factors. But look at the difference. They continue at minimum aid, no foundation aid, and they will not receive foundation aid over the next 5 years. But that's part of the baseline. They do nothing. You start with their fiscal 21 budget. This is the summary. Gil Montague's is by site. Pioneer Valley at the summary level was by function. So one comment was, can we get this to be presented the same way? That's why I asked Tanya, because last time this was presented by site, not by DESI function code. Last time we had a very big spreadsheet by line item for every line item in their budget that I used to project forward. I have that for Gil Montague. Joanne and I spent some time on that. And I assume after May 25, when Tanya's back on board, that I'll have time to spend with her to A, change this to site, and B, go through the detailed line items. And those spreadsheets would be available to you so you can play with them. This is the Chapter 70 preliminary pre-virus for Gil Montague. And again, a lot of foundation aid. This is Pioneers, no foundation aid. And let me just say, look at the delta here. Base aid to foundation aid, 1.5 million. If there are 9 C cuts for this year, but what I'm hearing is it's hard to implement 9 C cuts this year, but next year, Pioneer is very vulnerable to be Chapter 70 reduced because of this delta, 1.5 million of base aid over foundation aid. Whereas Gil Montague, they can't cut, well, they could cut the Student Opportunities Act, but their base aid is less than what their foundation aid would be. So it's hard if they should implement 9 C cuts for Gil Montague to receive 9 C cuts in fiscal 20, because that would put them be below foundation. So this is the, did I hear a question? This is the projection from Joanne. And I asked her, did you have any comment on that? And here are her responses. So I will be integrating these into the next version, and I'll be glad to forward this email to you So you can see her response, which is minimal in terms of her suggested changes to the do nothing scenario for Gil Montague. And if you look at these numbers, pre-virus, fiscal 22 is a problem. But cumulatively through fiscal 25, Gil Montague pre-virus is projected to do very well. When we ran these numbers 18 months ago, this was $700,000 in the hole. We projected 3 years forward. And for those 3 years, they were in the hole, $700,000. That's quite a swing, positive swing in just 18 months to 24 months later from our first analysis. I want to go back here, look at the increases due to the Student Opportunities Act. These are numbers that Rob O'Donnell provided. That's the biggest impact for the bottom line here. Again, the theory of do nothing, if they don't change anything, where would they be 22, 23, 24, 25? Pioneer presents a different story. So I had received, prior to John getting approval to move forward, the blues are what Tanya sent to me. This was the previous projection of the do nothing. Sorry, we got to move this. And back to 24 months, 18 months ago, cumulatively over a 3-year period, we were projecting a $3 million shortfall for Pioneer.
That's huge.
Again, more comments from Tanya, but fast forwarding, now that the school committee has voted 6-5, I've been receiving emails from her almost every other day. So
Good.
there is hope that we will receive from her A, a revised fiscal 20 budget, B, a revised fiscal 21 budget, all pre-virus. And then the question is post-virus. Steve and I believe we can change these slides if we receive a House budget or a local aid resolution that would give us the first indication of Chapter 70 and other state aid programs for fiscal 21.
We keep hearing that there's going to be cuts. They're not going to be, maybe the Student Opportunity Act totally fully funded. And what they're short this year, they'll use out of their rainy day fund. At least that's what we're hearing. Now I see cuts. They can't do cuts now because it's, they're not going to be able to do it. That next year is where we could see, we have some major concerns of what's going to happen.
I heard a nasty rumor that we might not see a House budget until August.
Unfortunately, David, you could be correct.
So if that's the case, considering this project ends June 30, we may just have a pre-virus projection.
Understood. Understood.
So
We'll have
You
the
can't
we'll
create-
have the spreadsheet so that once that's nailed down, we could plug in those numbers and get the post virus.
it's not as easy as that. In the past, DESI issues the detailed Chapter 70 numbers, including local district contributions, in January, and then when the final budget is passed. They generally do not issue that data when the House comes out with its budget or the Senate comes out with its budget. Remember, it's the House Ways and Means, Senate Ways and Means. So assuming we have a House budget by June 30, we can request from Rob O'Donnell, can you provide us the local district contributions? But we have no control over that. If he allows us to see that, we can incorporate that into our study. If DESI doesn't allow us to see that, then we can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it does to me.
Yep.
I'm going to have to sign off now because I got to go on to another one. So I've got some things out, check some things out and get back to you guys, okay?
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right, Steve, we'll talk
Yeah.
in terms of disseminating this information, the spreadsheets, et cetera.
Yeah. okay, all right, bye-bye. I can get out.
Anything else from the committee?
Not at this point.
So
Thank you.
my plan is A, to feed you the information to the questions that you have provided. B, I would hope you provide other questions over the next several days. C, after May 21, after the school committee, well, there's going to be a Pioneer Subcommittee, Finance Subcommittee meeting before May 21. May 21 is when they're supposed to revise the 20 budget and 21 budgets. At that point in time, I would get Tanya's detailed spreadsheet. What I'm hoping for is that I can get the detailed spreadsheet from her, send that to you, and then what is the spreadsheet you want to see going forward from both Pioneer and Gilmontague to give you the tool or tools that you need to carry this forward. I think each school district has a summary level data. Hold on. So your question's back here in terms of having these data go out to 20. We probably can get that from Tanya and from Gilmontague, data-wise. This stuff, not necessarily so, because this is DESI's format.
Did you get the line item for this year budget so you can start setting up projections?
I did,
Good, thank you. Good.
but I'm only a week away from getting the adjusted ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, Alan, I don't know if you heard me earlier, that Tanya has been sending me emails almost every other day now.
Yeah, I heard that. That's great.
Anything else from the subcommittee?
No?
So Lance, when
Not
are you
right now.
thinking of having, when are you thinking of scheduling another, or Mark, when do you think we'd be ready to share additional information to set up another meeting?
So today's the 14th. Pioneer Valley's school committee meeting is a week from today. Tanya begins full-time the 25th. So I would say during the week of the 25th, I should receive information from Tanya. So maybe the first week in June, we should have another subcommittee meeting. Would that work?
How does June 4th sound to the members of the committee?
Yes, that works.
Yes.
Mike?
Just checking. Looks good to me.
What day of the week is that?
Lynn?
Thursday.
It's
Thursday?
a Thursday.
And what time?
Same time, 3:30? Want to go earlier or what? It's up to you guys. What can you
Sounds
do,
good to
Mark?
me.
Steve and I are presenting all morning. It's our annual balance sheet class for E&D certification. So give us a couple of hours after that. We'd be good to go, assuming he's free that afternoon. Anytime after 2:30?
We're talking.
Okay, let's go for 3:30 like we did today. You all right with that, Jane?
Is this the 4th of June?
4th of June.
Yes.
Yes, that should be okay.
Same time, 3:30?
Mike, what? Mike, 3:30? Lynn, 3:30?
Yes.
I think,
David?
Yes.
I think I'm okay. We're about to go into budget meetings for our town, so, but we'll see. I'd say I'm not on the committee, so plan it and move forward.
I hear you. I might have to get zoomed up, huh? Okay, thanks, Mark. Let's plan on the 4th of June at 3:30, and unless something comes up. Members of the committee, Alan and Greg, do you have anything further that you'd like to discuss with us?
No, that's good.
And
I
feel
think we
free
got
to
a
go,
good
Mark,
plan.
if you need to.
I'm very happy to hear that they're responding to you now, Mark. That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Me too. Well, thank you for your
So-
input. I would encourage you to send me some emails for information requests. Give Steve and I a couple of days to get organized in terms of responding to you. The spreadsheets will take longer than the data I showed you today. Is that fair?
Mark, what's the impact on Steve's, what he finds like with Pioneer and what programs and services they want to do next year? That's going to change numbers. How you're going to be able to take that financial programming perspective and what they're doing and plug that in to your projections?
All right, so let's understand the deliverables. We're going to go up to the do nothing scenario and stop there with the deliverable. If you did nothing else, here's your projections. Gil Montague, you're going to look good by fiscal 25. Pioneer Valley, questions of sustainability through 25. Then Steve comes in with his one region analysis from an educational programming point of view. He gives me that. I then look at it from a one region budget and come up with assessments. That's a second deliverable. So the
Okay.
theory is, if you do nothing, Gil Montague, you're looking pretty good compared to 18, 20 months ago. Pioneer, you're not looking as good as you did look, as bad as that was 24 months ago. And hopefully that's a wake-up call that they need to do something. Now, is that something regionalization with Gil Montague? Well, that's what this looks like. That's a second deliverable. Do we understand that?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the theory is we give you the draft report by June 30, and then the final follows shortly thereafter.
Okay.
Any
Okay,
final
very good.
questions, Mark? Jane, you got anything else for Mark?
I just looked up the agenda for the Pioneer Budget Subcommittee on the 19th to next Tuesday. They have on there the 20 budget amendments, 21 Warwick closure budget amendment, other business, but those two things stand out. And it's announced as a Google Meet, so I don't know if that means we could all sign on and listen or not. Can always try it.
Well, if you have the address, you should be able to.
Well, they hadn't been, but I raised the issue discreetly under threat of people are ready to file an open meeting complaint. You're only allowed to do the recorded and post it later as I read the law, if you're
Just,
hardship
Well,
at this point.
It does start with
just for,
citizens' concerns is the first item on the agenda.
just for everybody's information, we've learned that DLS has a free GoToMeeting subscription that all municipalities and groups could utilize. Go to the DLS website, and there are instructions in there on how to get to that, rather than Zoom and Google accounts and all that
Is
stuff.
that video though?
And
I
that's
think,
through September.
I think that's a call in.
I thought it was, but
not
It's
sure.
video.
Is it video? Okay.
Yep.
A
something to look at.
couple of things.
Okay, Mike, you got anything for Mark?
I'm
You got
fine,
anything
just
else for Mark?
not until I see what we get next.
Okay, Lynn, you got anything for Mark?
Only question is, do we have a general meeting later today at 5:30? Like we had last week?
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
so I'll get a notice of the general meeting at some point
That's next week, right? Next Friday?
next Friday.
Yes, at 4 p.m.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
David, do you have anything for Mark?
Only I emailed Pioneer's FY19 audit to folks, but I didn't have Michael or Lynn's. My computer wasn't remembering, so somebody forward to them. And Lance, I'm not sure. There were two documents, but neither of them were captioned to indicate they were the management letter, but maybe one of them is.
Okay. I think I understood that. Okay, Greg or Alan, you have anything for Mark at this time?
Just
No, thank you.
not for
Okay, go
Mark,
ahead.
but for the rest of you. Gil Montague has been in contact with me. We're going to get the a web page up through the district soon. So they've started working on that. So we'll migrate our information over to their website so that people can access it. I will take this video, upload it into the Drive folder. Who's your minute taker for these meetings? I mean,
Mike.
I will share it with all of you, but just so you know, this video will be uploaded today, so that if you want to go back and use it for minutes, that's fine.
Uploaded to where?
Into the Drive folder that I shared with you. It has all the information, all minutes and agendas, and there's a separate folder called Zoom videos, or so you can find all
Okay.
any video.
Lance, do you have a secretary? Do you have a secretary for your committee?
Yeah, Mike is.
Mike, okay. Oh, that's right. That's right.
So I'll share it. You know, you'll see a folder sharing, so that I'll share the video with you once it's uploaded. Okay, Mike?
Sounds good.
Yeah, so Mike and Lance, so you'll be on the agenda as, to give the full committee an update of this. And Greg will send out the, send out the minutes along with the agenda so people can look at your minutes and before, to save time on your comments on the agenda.
What, Alan,
Yeah, as long
that
as I
brings
don't
up a
have to
point.
give a 58-page presentation.
To say,
Pardon?
Yes, Mike, you were saying? I'm getting
Alan,
crosstalk.
does,
Yes.
should we let Mark go?
Yeah, I
Yes.
was going to
Thank you,
say thank you
everybody.
very much, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
maybe could we put on
Okay,
the,
is any- Mike, yes.
Oh, Mike,
Uh,
hey, Mark, I
yes,
think
Mark.
you want to send the control back to me?
I thought I did.
Well, let me take a look. Maybe you did.
I stopped sharing.
Well, I think you have to go click on my screen, and where there's 3 dots up in the right corner, you can make me the host again. But I think you have to click on my screen. There you go. Yeah, you did it. That's good. All right. Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody. Stay safe.
And
Yeah,
I just forwarded David's email to Mike and to Lynn.
Thank you.
You should have it.
Okay. Mike, what did you want on the agenda?
just wondering if that would be an appropriate time for us to approve our minutes.
Sure. Why not?
Yes,
Yeah.
Get
that's
it
what I'm
over with.
saying. Greg will send out the minutes ahead of time so people can look at them, and then you can, you guys can approve them.
Just do it in the general meeting. That's fine.
Sounds good.
Yep.
So
And we'll do
my
the-
suggestion is that we do the subcommittee minutes at the general meeting. My understanding, is that correct,
Good.
Mike?
You could. That's just a week away. It's not, sure.
I mean, we'll just have to have a subcommittee
Okay.
meeting quickly to do that.
Sure.
Just that way we don't have to wait until our next meeting.
Right.
Well, then we'd have to post another meeting, wouldn't we?
No, because we're within the full meeting. No.
Right.
Okay. I know, I'm not the end all be all of all the rules here.
I make them up as I go along.
All right, Jerry.
I like Jane's way.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean
That's-
the right
that's
way, the
what-
wrong way, Jay?
No,
Does
that's
anybody in
not-
the committee have anything else for this committee? Any items you want to see on the June 4th meeting? If you have any, please forward to me by email and I'll include them. Alan, you got any instructions for us? Greg?
No, we'll just, I think you guys did a really good job. Mark is, pretty receptive. It sounds like he's a much happier camper, getting information, being able to do stuff with it. So it's unfortunate that was such a fiasco, but it looks like, we got the end result, and that's really all we cared about. Bottom line, I learned a long time ago, it doesn't make any difference whether it's a 20-20 vote or if it's a 6-5. You only have to win.
Oh, I have to have the majority.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Greg. I want to thank you for hosting this meeting. Mike, you have something to say?
Just real
Mike?
quick, a follow up on Alan's comment. I did watch the Pioneer Valley meeting, and
Yeah.
I would recommend it. It's about an hour and 27 minutes in is when the discussion starts. And I found the discussion interesting.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
watched it.
Yeah, and I watched it, and I had a follow-up,
David, I think you're muted.
I had a follow-up email to the chair of that committee, but I only sent it to the school committee representatives that were there. Greg, I sent you it, I think, and then Mark and Steve. So I think, she had an opportunity to correct some of the misinformation that she was letting kids just float around and I think impact people's decision, which is why it was such a close vote. I know that both Greg and I had similar conversation with her and clarified the misunderstandings that she had. And so when the committee, Sharon, for example, kept kicking around misinformation, she had every opportunity to just say, well, wait a minute, let me just correct that. This is what I've learned. But she didn't. And I think that she was just kind of expecting the vote to go the way she would like it to go. And I learned a lot from the seeing who voted against it. And after all our efforts that Greg and I put in and clarified everything, she voted no, which is not the impression I got once she had a clarification of all the information. So that's going to be an ongoing dilemma that I think we're going to have in working with the Pioneer School Committee. I appreciated the school committee's effort, and I appreciated, David, you sort of putting the open meeting request on hold to get some support. I think that was helpful, timely. But you know, it just wasn't necessary, and it was painful to.
I don't know why anybody would want to watch it. I endured it once. That was enough.
Well, the thing is that when we've asked to be on the agenda a couple of times, and then the only people that could have corrected misinformation or answered questions or shed some light on it were shut out of participating, because both Greg and I and Mark and Steve, I mean, they were talking about work that the planning board had been doing, and we were the ones the information. And so that was by design, I believe, that let's just let the misinformation keep floating around, and this thing's going to be dead in the water.
I think
I thought it was
you may be too kind to think that this is all intended. I think this is the best effort.
Well, I also thought it was very interesting that the opening comments of the superintendent where, you know, I don't work for the district, you know, for the consultants, I don't work for Gil Montague. This is important, you know, I work for the district. You know, I had to, my tongue was bleeding, because if he worked for the district, then he would have the best interests of the kids at heart, and not just short term, but long term. And so that was just, you know, kind of a weird statement, but he was directing that to the people that are supporting his not participating. And so he had to appease them. And I think as the vote or as the discussion went, I think he started to see that, well, maybe this wasn't a slam dunk. He might have some issues. And and Greg and I talked about this. He sort of started to meander over into, well, I better try to appease the people that may support this as well. And so he sort of dipped his toe in that water, water for a little bit, because I think at that point he didn't know how it was going to go. But I think going into the meeting, there was an expectation that, well, we'll just not let the consultants or anyone on the planning board talk, and we'll see, you know, how this will play out. She voted no, and it was pretty obvious by her body language that was not what she thought was going to happen. So that's my commentary.
I would chime in. I would chime in. You know, a thanks to the school committee members who are on the board. So David, you and Abby and the rest, because you guys actually did clarify.
And Pat, yeah.
Yeah, you guys really did a nice job of clarifying. I mean, there was a lot that wasn't clarified, but I think some really important things were clarified by you guys. So, you know,
For
that was
sure.
really well done.
Well, I think they helped to get the votes we needed to make it a 6-5. If they hadn't participated like that, I think it would have not even been a close vote. So, boy, and it was great that Sue McGee chimed in when about, you know, trying to get things on and get this discussion, and, you know, was not successful in doing that, because I think she told you the same thing she told me. She hadn't heard anything about it. Nobody ever brought it to her attention. She didn't know have any issues getting it on. So on the agenda, you know, she wasn't aware. It's like, wow. So that's what we have. When's the education subcommittee meeting? Greg.
That's 18th, Monday.
All right, on Monday. So finance committee, so everybody might want to listen if you want to get in on
Oh,
that
wait,
one.
is that, you mean our education subcommittee or theirs? Do they have a sub?
No, no, the planning board subcommittee,
Yeah,
education subcommittee.
Yeah, that's the 18th.
Yeah, that's Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time?
All
So
right,
you'll
well, thank you.
copy- Greg, you'll copy everybody on that in case we want to spend
Oh,
our
for the-
time on Zoom.
For the meeting, I'll send out an invitation to everybody for that meeting. So,
Good.
did you get a
All
motion?
right, does anybody
Well,
got?
thanks, everybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, anybody got? I have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Take
This
care.
meeting stands adjourned. Thank you,
All right.
Greg.
All right. I'll
Thanks,
send out-
Greg.
Thank you.
I'll send the video out or share it soon.
Greg, stay on for a minute.
Okay.
As I watch people disappear.
Nice day.
What is all this? Shall the rest of us leave?
You can, sure, if you want.
Yeah, you can. I was just going to talk to Greg about the agenda for next week. Minutes, things like that.
I gotta get a haircut. man.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
You do?
Yeah, exactly.
You want me to stay or you want me to leave?
Doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Alan, you want me to stay or do you want me to leave?
Oh, it makes no difference. You're vice chair. Go ahead. You can hang in there.
You want to stay or do you want to leave? It's up to you. I hope Alan doesn't take.
Okay.
I'm getting hungry.
So, Greg, do you think we'll have the let's say our last meeting, the minutes?
Hey, hold on. Let me stop the recording. We don't need to record.